Today, at least on my end, I had to do a little change, but I'm not going to elaborate on that because we're less than 1 minute out to go live.
Oh,
You
no,
know.
we are not. It's officially 3 p.m.
Muy buenas tardes, damas y caballeros. Bienvenido a otro episodio de Mofongo Diaries, ¿ok? Tú sabes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we have a spicy topic that's going to make some of y'all take a look at yourselves in the mirror. So, por favor, como siempre, busca sus quesitos, tu cafecito, tu tostada, tu coquito, lo que sea. And we're going to dive right into it.
Exactly. Let's dive right in, you know.
So, contrary to what a lot of people believe, colorism and internalized racism is something that affects our community. Not necessarily, let's say, on such a big scale that it may affect other communities, but we have our little pockets of, no te vaya en el sol, que te va a poner demasiado oscura, ese pelo malo. Como a mí me dijeron de que por la mañana cuando te levantes, ponte saliva en los dedos y ponte a formar la nariz de las nenas para que no tengan la nariz del país.
Exacto. Why does Atlanta have a black Santa Claus? Ejemplo.
That part. We have people who, because they present as Afro Latino, or they're on the darker side, if they choose not to identify as Afro Latino, will sit here and be like, well, I can talk about these other communities because, like, look at me, I'm part of it. And then, 10 seconds later, have a completely contradictory opinion on that community, even though they felt that they had the right to speak on it. So, yeah, we got a lot of that.
I have the right shade, so I'm entitled to talk about it and be
Yes.
prejudiced against Indian people for some reason because it's like curry is not part of the menu today. Está cabrón. Está cabrón.
It's crazy, right? Because you think when you're, because we come in all different shades, right? It doesn't matter. I am probably the fairest one from my family, but I have, siblings who are all colors of the spectrum, right? Because there's a shitload of us. There's like 10 or 11 of us. My dad didn't believe in TV or contraceptives. So,
just like my father,
so.
Like, I may not be the fairest one in my family, but I am the only one that glows in the dark.
I glue in the dark when I actually glue in the daytime, right? Because and it's glowed, not glued. Oh God, I glowed in the daytime in Texas because I didn't get a lot of sun, so I was like bright white.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Is now that I'm in Florida that I'm getting all this sun and everything. I'm like, oh, this is what I really look like. Okay, Texas had me, convinced I was Indian white tea woman.
No,
So
the only, you know what? It's weird because I will say that my shades are like my arms are Taino,
okay,
but my face and my torso is Cocoon, the 80s movie, you know,
okay.
glowing in the dark. I don't know how that happened. And it doesn't matter how much I expose my face or my torso to sun, it will just be lobster red and then go back to glow in the dark.
You know that the running joke within the fan bam, right, was that my feet represented all the aspects of Puerto Rican identity because I'm consistently wearing slides. So I have my toes apparently are my African side. The part where the band is at is my European side. And then from like the ankle to like the knee is my Taino side. So I represent all three parts of our ancestry just from the knees down, apparently, because Everywhere else, I mean, I don't, no sé si me consideran trigueñita or I just have a tan. Right? I'm gonna just put
Yeah.
it like that because I'm not dark enough to be trigueñita, pero tampoco no soy, gringa.
Yeah.
So at
Yeah.
least we have that in common. That's another thing that we can add on our checklist,
Yeah.
Different parts of us represent our entire ancestry.
Yeah. Definitely. So, and we have our fathers in common. We have the whole, like, different shades and different parts of the body in common. We have the whole
The
went to get a
ADHD,
pack ADHD. We have the whole our parents went to get a pack of cigarettes and a carton of milk and never came back.
that part. We have the
Yeah.
grandpa redemption story, which was a good one.
Hmm.
So,
Definitely.
like I'm telling you, this best friendship thing, we're on the right track.
Yeah. Yeah. And functional single parenthood.
Yes, yes, yes. That's another thing. I just got you beat because I, didn't learn my lesson with one, and I was like, oh, I could. If I did it with one, I can do it with three more. So I also contributed into making the United States gayer and browner. Just so you guys know, I played my part.
America. Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
So let's discuss what is internalized racism, right? Because anybody who hears that, because they don't understand, right? Because people use words as scare tactics, right? And then instead of them looking into, understanding the definition and what context, when we speak on internalized racism, people will take it as automatic, like, oh, I'm not racist. No, you may not be outwardly racist, but you may have some internalized things that you do not like about yourself because of the indoctrination that we received during colonialism and Eurocentric views.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes it feels like an infomercial, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, are you seeking approval by distancing yourself from one's identity? Are you judging a group of people or members of one's own group more harshly? Are you feeling ashamed of the skin color, features, language, or culture? Do you walk out on the street and some people call you Uncle Ruckus? Then you might be suffering from internalized racism. Yeah.
Go
It's
ahead.
just, yeah, I was pausing myself in case you needed to say something because I heard you breathe in deep. Yeah.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But it feels like that because the more internalized your racism is, the more you feel kind of entitled to it without actually admitting that you have it. And again, it's like you said, it's not necessarily that you're racist, but you're getting to the same end goal through a different road.
That
And
part.
that's the part that makes it messy because you are, we have allies and then we have internalized racism on people that makes you the opposite of an ally.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not helping anybody out with that at the end of the day. It's just it's just messy because then it's it's one of those things that makes it even harder, and those type of people make it even harder to take accountability, because they don't see it. So it's harder to make them accountable for a lot of things.
What I've noticed though too is that a lot of people will take the internalized racism and they'll try to be dismissive about it and just say it's a joke. Right? Like, oh, like I have to do this because, la narizona que tengo, o los labios que yo tengo, el cabello que yo tengo, el pelo, lo que sea. They will take it as it's more like they'll use it as self-deprecating humor, not understanding that it does come from the internalized racism, right? Because from a certain point, these features, these traits that you have were put off as, not beautiful. Everyone, even the people that are still continually deconstructing, right, and decolonizing and getting away from American views and the American exceptionalism, they still struggle with that, right? Because they will highlight the features about them that are acceptable to the Eurocentric standard of beauty.
Yeah.
Even and what's crazy too, like even when you think about it in the medical field, how much of our treatment, and I'm sorry I'm going on a tangent, but I just remembered this right now too.
It's fine. It's related. Go on.
In the medical field, right, when we're getting treatment, when they're doing the assessments of our children, right, they're doing it based on European standards, right? So if I know that everyone in my family is 6'6" and they weigh at minimum 250 pounds, hell yeah, I'm going to have a big ass baby, because culturally, genetically, this is what my culture represents, right? When you have the Samoans, when you have the Nigerians coming over, they will come and tell us that our children are either obese, or we have to limit their intake, or we have to up their intake, because the standard for everything has been set on European views. That is the standard that we have to fucking unlearn. Now, go ahead. My bad.
No. You're good, because that is perfect, because it is the foundational layer that makes internalized racism even more complicated when you add the layer that I'm going to add right now, which is like, it's like a very, very complicated racism cake.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the foundation which you've established right now. And then you have the other layer that adds on top of it, which makes it even more complicated, which is like the perfect example is what a lot of people criticize of Dominicans, the Mino black type thing, which is not only restricted to Dominicans, it's actually very prominent in a lot of cultures outside Dominicans.
Yes.
Including a lot of African cultures. Because it's also, we forget that the United States of America projects not only its power, but it also projects its speech, its wording, its language, and how it expresses itself. And the problem is that when you have the United States of America as a dominant power, you have Black as African American. And the situation with that is that African Americans have their own unique culture in the American system, which not only have they earned, but it has become separate from just being Black in the terms of color of your skin. So you have this situation in which I have seen a lot of people try to excuse the internalized racism, is that I'm not racist. I love the color of my skin. I just do not want to be categorized in the same tone as African Americans, because the American system has done an incredibly well job at ostracizing the African American through propaganda and stereotypes. So you're saying me no black, or I'm not black, or I apply this internalized racism. because I'm attacking this specific ethnic group of Black African Americans, you know.
Yes.
So even for example, people from Nigeria, people from Angola, people from that are Black will say, I'm not Black, as in I am not African American, and I am not part of these negative stereotypes that have been built upon the African American culture, which are not only stereotypes, but are also exaggerations. And we want to take, and when I say we, I mean the American people want to take one bad apple and say, no, this is what I mean. You see, this proves that my internalized racism is valid when it isn't, you know, because we do not see that, you know, we Puerto Ricans, you know better than me. I don't have to mention the Puerto Ricans on TikTok that have spewed, you know, just asinine, nonsensical, fully incorrect things that are out of pocket and racist. And those people do not represent our culture as a whole, you know. And this also applies to Black people in America. You know, are you going to find some random person that happens to be Black and says out of pocket shit? Yes. Do they represent the average Black person? No, of course they do not. You know, and we have got to stop going in these rants or going in these tangents to validate the internalized racism by said I'm and go full anecdotal, and I met this Black person that was ratchet for XYZ reason and whatever, you know, because it does not represent the community, period.
No, and what does it for me is that, right, because we do have Puerto Ricans that do say that, right, who are very quick to call out something that they've witnessed or had an experience with someone in the Black community, completely denying that we have our own ratchet people, right? And I'm gonna say this from growing up in the Bronx, que había unos boricuas que a mí me hacían pasar vergüenza, and I'm just like, why do you need to live up to every stereotype of what a New Yorican from the Bronx is, or a New Yorican from Spanish Harlem? Why do you need to live up to every negative stereotype y darle razón a la gente? I'm like, but the people that make these comments about other communities never want to put the magnifying glass on us. Or they will try to be like, well, it's because they grew up in the culture in New York City, and New York City culture is synonymous with Black culture. No, puñeta, ellos vinieron así, de donde carajo vinieron. Understand? I'm like, I can very honestly say, yes, I'm a product of my environment. I grew up in the projects. Hell yeah. But I know, you know, and this has to do also with the internalized racism, right? Because I know that for certain things, especially in my field, I have to water myself down, right? I can't be the Puerto Rican from the Bronx. I have to put on the hat of, Bethany from bumfuck Ohio in order for me to be respected and taken seriously in my field. So I need people to kind of like, quítate la fucking gafa ya, and kind of look and look at yourself in the mirror and just be like, okay, these are the things that I need to work on. These are the things that I know that, granted, they might come from this community and my one experience with that one person, that does not give me the right to generalize an entire community because of my experience with one person. And too many fucking people are doing that shit. Too many fucking people are doing that. And esa vaina ya cansa.
Yeah. It's complicated because it's just, you got to wear those hats at times, and it in its own way, I have seen what you say of wearing those hats also being used as a tool for mental gymnastics to condone why I need my internalized racism for some people. You know what I mean?
That part.
Be- because I have also noticed that it is misconstrued as talking proper. You know what I mean? When it's not about talking proper, it's about, you having to cater to certain demographics in your
Mm-hmm.
work and switch it up so that people understand you because you're on the clock and you need to adjust so that you can deal with customers in a time efficient manner because some people are simply not going to understand unless you speak their language,
That part.
and it doesn't mean that those people are inferior because I also have to work as interpreter work.
Mm-hmm.
And when I work interpreter work, I joke about saying that I technically speak four languages: English, Spanish, Spanglish, and white. And white generally also involves memorizing by heart the menu of Panera bread, you know? So,
I listen. I sometimes like Panera bread. Okay. Oh, that's when Bethany wants to come up and be like, "Hey guys, I'm still here."
mhm. Yeah, that's you hanging out with too many white people manifesting and stuff.
I'm not. Listen, I can't even. I've lost count of how many times I've had YT supervisors or YT bosses literally tell me like, "Wow, you're so well spoken for Puerto Rican," and I'm like,
Mhm.
"What the fuck?" Does like literally like real quick, I'm ready to just switch that shit, and I'm just like,
¿Qué carajo tú me estás
"Did
tratando de decir?
facts like déjame saber si me tengo que quitar las pantallas, vamos a ir para afuera because you got me fucked up."
Yeah.
you know or when you tell people like I have cousins, right, who did the whole college thing, and they're in their careers and everything, and they're like, wow, you have a cousin that's an accountant? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I'll give the spiel about it, and they're like, oh, it probably wasn't her Puerto Rican side, it was probably the other side that got her to be where she's at. And I'm like, are again, like, ¿a dónde está la vaselina? Me voy a quitar las pantallas, me voy a poner el pelo en un moño because who the fuck do you think you're talking to?
And I've had the same thing too. I've had people tell me, your English is so good for a Puerto Rican. I can't believe it. You know, and and at the same time, it's like, I am borderline insulted, but then my knee-jerk
Mm-hmm.
reaction is like, thank you. It took me years to get rid of that Jersey accent, you know.
I had listen, my first job at a doctor's office, I was hired to do filing. The owner to my face said, I need you to file correctly. Go by the American alphabet, not the Puerto Rican alphabet.
Yeah.
And mind you, this is me at like 18, 19 years old. And I'm just like, I'm there looking at my supervisor, right? Because I worked with family. I'm looking at my supervisor like, did she really just say what the fuck she said? And like, you are okay with kikiing this shit because she's your
Yeah.
friend and your boss? And you're like, this is the work environment you want to be in? Like,
I'm sorry. Did I get a correction on the alphabet from a person that uses the word fajitas?
yes. Yes.
I'm sorry, but no. Like,
Another
yeah.
issue though that we do have to work on también is the colorism, right? Because I've told you this story before. When I had first met the girl's dad's family, one of his aunts was so excited to see me, and she's like, "Por fin va a aclarar la sangre haitiana." And I'm like, again, you don't know me. You don't know me. This is my first time you're ever meeting me, knowing that I'm involved with your nephew. You know, we're about to have a baby, and you are excited because your concern is that our kids will not come out as dark as he is. And it's so wild because he's her favorite nephew, right? Out of all the nieces and nephews, he is the favorite of hers. And I'm like, you really have an issue with him being so dark, that you are so happy that the kids, any future kids we may have, are possibly going to be fair skinned or lighter skinned. They were praying for the kids to come out with my eye color. And I'm just like, why? You know, because my sister's nickname when she was little was Morena, right? And that's its own issue within it, right? But for me, it was more so like, I want my sister to now have more people in the family that look like her. I want my daughters to be like, look, my aunt, is a kick-ass boss and she does all this shit and I can do it too. And all this other shit that people say that I can't because I'm too dark or my hair is this or my hair is that. I'm able to see it from my aunt that she is living the fucking dream, regardless of all these negative connotations associated with her complexion, right?
Yeah. And listen, I'm about to say something that might bother some people,
Okay.
and something that you might disagree with personally. And it's not literal, but I think you're going to kind of understand where I'm coming from. And it's the fact that all of this is even more complicated with our Puerto Rican people, because we got our colorism from Spain, but we have our racism from the United States.
I know. I agree. Because listen, nobody does racism like the US. Okay. They got that shit in the bag. In the bag.
Because, and this is one thing that I see people consistently fail at differentiating. There's a difference between racism and colorism.
Mm-hmm.
And the colorism is just discrimination or saying out of pocket stuff because of the color of the skin and whatever. And we Puerto Ricans do that even unconsciously at times. But at the same time, it's like the general population of Puerto Rico, usually most of them are more colorist than racism, but racism is embedded in the island because of the government, because of colonialism, and because by default it is implemented by the systems of the United States for being a colony. You know, colorism is el chiste de Pepito y los colores.
Sí.
If you've ever heard that joke, which I'm not going to repeat because TikTok is going to then flag the live.
Okay. We'll say that for the B-roll.
Exactly. But then racism in the island is the fact that we have government systems that discriminate against a specific Afro, Latino, or Black population on the island, and they do not have access to the same benefits as a white person in the population because of how the government is built and how the United States established the rules of colonialism on the island. That is the racism versus the colorism, So it is systems set in place so that people that are Black or Afro-Latino and how other people feel comfortable in putting the label or declaring it are disproportionately shut out of benefits from society in terms of getting jobs, in terms of getting aid, in terms of getting in terms of getting ahead in society. And these systems, as much as people want to blame, oh, this is from Spain or it's not, no, Puerto Rico is in a unique place where these racist systems have been implemented by the United States of America. And they phased out the old encomienda systems, the old systems that you could say were racism by Spain, and have been implemented by new systems that are wholly American, wholly of the USA in its core.
That's what I try to do whenever I try to explain to people, right? Because we've had instances where we're having discussions, right? Let's say on TikTok lives or in comments, DMs or whatever. I've tried to explain the uniqueness, right, of the situation in Puerto Rico. And it's hard for people who were solely raised here, who only know the experiences of the racism here in the United States, and automatically assume that those things are happening in the island by choice. A lot of this shit is indoctrination from the jump, right? And a lot of people just don't understand it, because if I and it goes back to what we were saying with the whole, the Mino Black, right? Dominicans get the most slack for it. They get the most shit for it. But there is a difference with how race, ethnicity, and nationality is viewed outside of the United States. I'm not making excuses for it. Because these are shit that we still have to address. But I need people to also understand that you cannot look at everything under the American lens. You cannot. Because things are a certain way over here does not mean, I'm sorry, the United States is not the fucking center of the universe. I'm sorry to burst your bubble on, what is it? Today's July 4th, the 250th anniversary of the United States. The United States is not the center of the fucking universe, right? They think they are. People here may think we are. Yes. But the issue is that we need to also cut those views out. Even Americans from here who are wanting to wake up, who are wanting to address issues of the internalized racism and the colorism, you need to stop looking at things under the American lens. Because if we continue to look at it under the American lens, we're going to continue to make the same fucking mistakes. And we're going to continue to have these biases, and we're going to be like, oh, well, it's okay because I addressed this and I'm working on this. No. The first step is removing those shitty fucking broken paper 3D glasses we used to get in the 90s with 2 different color lenses to look at shit outside of the US.
Yes, I will to that, because I'm glad that you brought that up, because I have even seen that part of the internalized racism that makes it worse through the American lens. Mm-hmm. Because, and I'm going to add some experiences from me here in the Philippines. So I have had the unfortunate side effect of seeing here not only Latinos, but Black people that come here for tourism purposes. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? This can also happen in Puerto Rico, but I'm not mentioning Puerto Rico in specific because I didn't see it there. I saw it here. You know what I mean? I literally have seen on 2 different occasions from Latinos that were Black, Afro-Latino, whatever you want to call it, mm-hmm. and even African Americans or Black people from the United States that have come here, right, and have heard Filipinos, because as people may know, around 28 to 30% of the Filipino language, because of Spanish colonialism, is also Spanish. So when it comes to things like days of the week or colors, they're spoken in Spanish. And Filipinos say Black as negro, right? So it's just color. It's not anything else. You know what I mean? And I saw how this group of black women were sitting in a coffee shop and ordered black coffee. And they ordered it in English. I want black coffee. So when the Filipino went to do the order, they say it in Spanish. They say café negro, you know? These
I'm listening. I'm here.
no. I just had to take a pause because I have to check down my emotional thing because me as a bystander looking at this because I was out and I was in like a table hearing this. I personally got a little bit offended how these these women took and just because they heard negro, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without context, without knowing the language, without speaking, it's like they threw a fit and they started insulting. They started saying that the employees were racist, that Filipinos were racist. And they proceeded to not only throw the coffee in the faces of the Filipinos, they ended up vandalizing the place, breaking the
Wow.
tables, breaking the chairs, breaking everything because they were racist for saying negro, you know. And as the police interfered, the first thing they did was open up their TikTok and start saying, or social media or whatever. I'm assuming it's TikTok. I was assuming, but they were opening their phones, recording themselves saying how the Philippines is so racist. No black person in America should go to the Philippines and whatever and everything, you know. And the American lens on how they do this, you know, and the fact that you have no flexibility for culture, you know, says a lot about, and this is why I say American people. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
singling them out as black African Americans because for this one incident, I can say about two black American women in the
Mm-hmm.
Philippines, I can tell you I have seen 20 that are way worse from white Americans in the Philippines.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
I've heard that instance too, right? Because I've actually seen things where I will see Americans go to the Philippines or go to Thailand or go to, you know, Morocco and demand that the local population speak English
Yes.
and do things the way shit is done in the United States. And I'm like, no importa que we're not in fucking colonial times anymore. We're not fucking over here, you know, invading people and stripping them and raping and pillaging them and taking everything away from them. That todavía the fucking audacity to demand that everyone else conform to what you want is fucking wild. Like, todavía no se le ha quitado eso. The colonizer is still colonizing no matter where the fuck they go.
Exactly.
But
Exactly. You know, and again, this is what I want to drive home. You know, this experience for me as a bystander is minimal compared to how I've seen white people act
that
here
part.
in the Philippines. You know what I mean? And that's why I drive it to home. It's not about the color of your skin. It's about that American exceptionalism that distorts everybody and nobody is immune to it. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't matter if you are once you're American, it doesn't matter if you're African American, Filipino American, Mexican American, white tea, or just, one of these crazy Puerto Ricans like NY Rican. I'm sorry I threw somebody under the bus.
No, he
You know,
deserves it. It's okay.
we nobody is immune to it once you fall into that sphere of American exceptionalism.
Exactly. We have to unlearn that as a whole. As a whole, 100%, we have to unlearn that. And I know it starts with, it starts with our kids, right? The kids that we're raising, we're making sure that they do not have these views, right? I celebrate my daughter's hair. I celebrate my daughter's complexion. I celebrate their mixed ancestry, right? Because I never want them to be ashamed or feel the necessity that they need to change who the fuck they are and the beauty that they were blessed with to conform to somebody else. I will say I've never permed my daughter's hair. And for 10, 15 years, all I knew how to do was a fucking ponytail. Okay? And chiste que yo siempre digo, I'm like, I'm the ponytail queen and I got 4 daughters. What the fuck am I gonna do? But I learned because I don't have that hair texture, right? So what I'm doing, I'm learning what I can do for my daughters and I celebrate their hair. I had an instance when my oldest, who is now 20, someone permed her hair at 2 years old without fucking asking me, telling me, and then they tried to insult my intelligence and say, no, it's just a treatment because of the party that they had gone to. And they really had put a fucking perm in a 2-year-old. That I'm there washing my daughter's hair for like a couple of times and I'm like, but why is it not going back to her curl pattern? What is going on? And then it was like, oh, haha, I did perm the baby's hair. The fuck you mean you permed my daughter's hair? And then you're going to key it off. So I'm like, now with my daughters, I've always celebrated who they are. I do it tenfold now because I will be damned if somebody tells my daughters que tienen el pelo malo o que son demasiado trigueños, que son demasiado morena o que no se metan en el sol or that they're well-spoken because they're Puerto Rican, Dominican, and Haitian. Fuck out of here. Tu me vas a ver en la cárcel. You may have to start that GoFundMe like I told you last night, just so you know. Just in case. It's better to have it just in case,
Yeah. I understand.
But yeah. I'm so tired of that. I'm so tired of that. Or my sister growing up, yeah, her nickname was Morena, but it was very much so like she was India, right? For everyone else, it was like, no, she's not really morena. Ella es más India porque es trigueñita, morenita, pero tiene el pelo lacio. Why are we, and like, again, we still shit that we have to unpack, but I'm like, we're here highlighting the favorable parts of her, but, ignoring the parts that don't seem good.
Yeah. It's just crazy how that works.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. How do you think we're going to work on this, right? Because we can only do so much, right? I can talk to my family. I can make sure I'm raising my children to be proud of who they are and their ancestry and embrace all sides of them, right? Regardless of whatever the fuck people here in the United States tell them that they shouldn't. How else can we do this, right? Because we have the older generation still, right? And I'm talking about the older generation, my mom's age, my grandma's age. My grandmother just turned 79 too on Thursday. So, happy birthday, honey. Pero para cómo enseñarle a ellos que esas cosas sí son mal. Esas cosas ahora, in today's day and age, we have to fix that, right? Because I know me having those conversations, let's say with my mom or with my grandmother, my uncles, my aunts, whatever, they're going to take it. Ay, bueno, así siempre han sido las cosas, así que se hablan, no que somos racistas. Esto, ¿sabes? Es la forma que nosotros somos como puertorriqueños. How can I nip that shit in the bud and explain to them, right? Because I'm big on that shit. I'm like, if your views don't align with mine, my mom, my brother, my sister, my cousin, my best friend, I cannot align with you, right? Because if those things that you don't like, those are things that you don't like then and within my kids, right? How can we combat that and solve it, right? Because they're already up there in their years and they're already at that point where like, bueno, esta fue la forma que soy, siempre ha sido así, toda mi vida, siempre lo voy a hacer hasta que el día que me muera.
Yeah. So that's a complicated one. And to be honest, I do not remember the name of the person, but I was reading the article the other day about this black person that had like the patience of a Super Saiyan Buddhist.
Oh yeah, that's not me.
And he actually befriended members of the Triple K and just sat down, talked with them, empathized with them, and he's now have a collection of like a bunch of Triple K uniforms of the people he got to be to unracist. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Um,
Kind of what I was doing with MAGA in the beginning when I started doing lives.
yeah, but there comes a point where we normal humans say, "Ain't nobody got time for that."
That's why I stopped. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not Captain Save a MAGA anymore.
So, so that's why I say, look, there's a point where we need more humans like him that
Mm-hmm.
have the patience of a Super Saiyan Buddhist slash saint, you know. But in the meantime, for us normal humans that do not have that level of patience, we just need to not only teach the next generation to
Mm-hmm.
prevent things like you have with your children. We gotta walk the walk and talk the talk and set the example,
That part.
because that's the only solution. Because you're not going to be able to convince everybody. You're not going to be able to convert everybody. You're not going to be able to, adopt and reform. And that's the key word, adopt and reform. Because you adopt a lot of people, but reform them? No, I'm sorry.
I've
You
successfully
tried.
reformed two and a half people, right? Because one of them is
Two
still
and
in
a half.
denial that he two and a half, right? Because the half one, he is a little bit in denial that he's
Reform.
leaning a little bit more woke because of me. And it's okay. He doesn't need to give me my flowers, but I can see it in a lot of the things and a lot of the ways that he communicates now with people that led to the reformation. Someone here on TikTok used to call me the misfit wrangler. Like I would get all the misfits and the really problematic anti-black machista men off of TikTok, and I took a different approach, right? I would befriend them. I would get to know them. I would, understand why they think that the way that they think, and then for some of them, they came over to where the grass was greener, and they
Look,
may not agree with me 100% on a lot of things, but I've had people that I was very close with stop using the N word and understand that that's not part of our culture and that is not a word that we should be using. I don't give a fuck if you was raised in Compton or you were raised in fucking
yeah.
Marcy Projects in Brooklyn, right? It wasn't our word. Little by little, I've gotten through to people. Is it 100% change? No. Do I still have the patience to do that? Fuck no. Fuck no.
Look,
But I can have the conversations with people though, at least.
look, I'm sorry. I don't want to burst your bubble, but doing the point five or the and a half is like me saying I toilet trained Ricky Bobby. He's a cat, and I bought the materials, and I can say that I toilet train him all I want, but I'm still having to buy litter. I'm still having to buy cat sand. Okay, so it's 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 a complicated issue, but it's 3:50. We went over the 3:45 time. Let's see if we bring people up, because I know that we had a couple of people that wanted to come up.
I have Monique and Sivart requesting. So I'm going to bring Monique up first and then we'll bring up Sivart.
Okay, no problem.
If she's still here, because I don't know if she's still here. She may have left.
I have no idea. Then if not, just you know, on to the next one.
También. Los dos se
También se
fueron.
fue. Los dos se
Yeah.
fueron.
I need to figure out exactly how to pin the comments to the chat, right? So I can continually pin that. Because I don't think anyone is looking at the board that we have up there where we're talking about 3:45 to 4 p.m. for guests.
Yeah. I mean, also reading comprehension has dropped significantly in the United States of America.
I blame George Bush and Betsy DeVos. I'm sorry. That is a hill that I'm willing to unalive on, and that's what I'm going to do because ain't no way.
That's fine. That is fine. At the end of the day, it's it's a hill. It's one hell of a hill.
Yeah. I mean, you know what it is? I think it's easier too for us to have that patience when we're talking to people that we already care about. People that we already have friendships established or some type of connection where you find out, you dig into the deepest parts and the crevices of your soul to bring up that tiny tidbit of patience because you care about this person.
Yeah.
That patience for me to do that with other people outside of my circle, I don't have anymore, right? But for the ones that are close to me, it's wearing thin. Like it's a little crumb. It's not exactly a speck of dust yet. It's a little crumb. It's tangible. I can feel it in my hand, but it's a very hard battle, especially when you hear people that you having these conversations with them and they're open to changing, and then you see them 2 days later y la cagan otra vez, and it's like, you said you understood me, you comprehended what I was saying, I explained it in the simplest way form possible. I did not come off as preachy. I did not try to, auntie you or whatever the case may be because I'm older, me la sé toda. No, I'm trying to have an open and honest conversation with you. You hear me, but obviously you didn't comprehend what the fuck I said because now 2 days later you're making fucking comments about Atlanta being ghetto because it has a black Santa Claus and a representation, right?
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
And that's the part that kind of it bothers me to no end. Because it's like internalized racism is not something that you can see immediately. And then all of a sudden, you're interacting with this person, you're getting to know them, and you think, oh, this person is pretty cool. I can talk.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, you drop a bomb that you're like, okay, where did this come from? How the hell did this, materialize?
But
Not what I was
scary.
expecting.
That is the scariest thing, right? Because that one example that I just gave you, I happened upon that conversation when, Selena sings like late at night when all the world is sleeping, right? That's when this person voiced the most problematic fucking takes because they thought no one was listening. They thought no one was watching. The person that they were having a conversation with literally has the same type of fucking anti-black views, right? So this is why they get along so well.
Exactly.
And that blew my mind. It blew my fucking mind because I've heard instances of people say, well, one, I'm not big on pulling anyone's card, right? If you tell me that you're Puerto Rican, if you tell me you're Black American, if you tell me that you are Navajo, I'm going to take it at face value, right? Because who the fuck am I to question your lineage, your ancestry, your DNA? ¿Quién carajo soy yo? Right? I've seen too many instances of people trying to gatekeep something like they're the fucking authority, and then gatekeeping our culture from someone else who may not have been raised within our culture, who is now reconnecting with our culture, use that same mental gymnastic to be like, well, I have a great grandparent who was Black American, so guess what? I can say the N word. What the actual fuck? Again, make it fucking make sense to me.
Exactly. And here's, and I'm so glad I will mention this that you use Selena as a reference
Everyone
because
complains they never get to hear me sing, so I had to give you my crappy voice.
no, it's fine. But I'm very glad that you use Selena as a reference because I will add this. Selena, for me, developed a unit of measurement in physics. You know,
Okay.
it developed a Newtonian force of physics, and because some people, use PSI, pounds per square inch, some people use like impact measurements at, this meteor impacted the ground at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour. But thanks to Selena, I also measure impacts and physics in beady beady bomb bombs. Okay.
Okay.
So when this person that we both know said that out of pocket shit and said, I am prejudiced against Indians, that hit with the force of over 9,000 beady beady bomb bombs. Okay. And for those of you that have already done the calculation, the calculation, for those physicists tuning in that have already done the calculations, 9,000 bitty bitty bomb bombs is a huge force of impact. You know what I mean? that is that is unheard of. It is shocking.
Oh, you can come up later. Okay. I don't know if how long we're gonna be on because we're usually doing about an hour and a half. We do that about 45 minutes of us talking, and then we bring up people to have the conversation. I honestly thought we were gonna have more people, right? Come up and either disclaim and be like, no, Puerto Ricans are not. We do not have internalized racism, and we do not have colorism. And then I was hoping to have other people come in and be like, no, yeah, the fuck you do, and we'd have an open discussion. I don't think anyone really wants to have the mirror, put on them today.
I'm surprised that people have given up so quickly at coming up.
Right?
Usually people want to voice themselves, and everything, and we have people let me up, but apparently today the people that wanted to come up had like the attention span of a goldfish. It's like, oh, 3:45, I can't wait that long, I give up. It's
that part, but a lot of people are celebrating July 4th. Let's not get it fucking twisted. A lot of people are celebrating and are very proud to be American type shit going on. So
I understand, but if you say let me up at 3:45 and at 3:43 and we all come up at 3:45, then
exactly.
it's yeah, eh, I mean, it's no, nobody wants to bring racism up in a bar in the middle of a barbecue.
That's very true. That's very true. You know what? I'm pretty sure like when my family sees my post, because I only allow my family to follow me on Instagram, right? So I'm pretty sure whenever they see my post, it's like, oh, look, oh, this is a funny post. And then there I am like, women's rights, address anti-blackness, stop with the American exceptionalism. And they're like, oh God, here she goes again on her fucking tangent. So
yeah. I mean, it kind of goes this way. Lady Gaga dresses up in all bacon and meat, and it's art. Tío Milton talks about racism around the July 4th barbecue, and he just ruined it. You know,
Yes,
it,
yes, yes,
he ruined a perfectly good barbecue.
Don't you notice once you start talking about it, people get really quiet?
yes,
Why is
yes.
that? Like,
Or they get super defensive because now they feel called out and they don't want you to know that you called them out.
if it's not even necessarily like you call people out personally, sometimes you could just be talking about a topic and they'll be on a defense, and it's like,
Yes.
damn, the hit dog, the hit dog,
A hit dog will holler, you know that.
Oh man, it gets spooky out here and you think you having a casual conversation. It's nothing crazy. You know, you think this person is a good person. Like Nonsense says, you don't always know when somebody is experiencing internalized racism. And I like that you use the word internalized. I love that you use the word internalized, because a lot of it, people will cement it down to racism, and it's honestly, majority of the time, it's internalized racism.
That part.
It's generational trauma that has been embedded into our, certain family dynamics for years. You know what oh my God, this broke my heart. Mimi, the other day, yesterday, I was on the phone with my mother. It was yesterday or 2 days ago, and she tells me my great-grandmother, she came out more like black presenting. Her sister came out like literally white. I didn't know she was that mixed race. I thought she was black because they made it seem like she's a black lady. But no, she's like, you have a white sister. She just came out black.
The genetic
she
lottery.
To be in the house working for her, like cooking for her dad and cleaning for her family while her sister got the opportunity to go to school. She was the only one that was able to go to school out of the sisters.
Yes, that happens. Also,
and I was just like, wow. And then you can think about how that child might be internalizing those things and what that might do to the next generations coming up, because you feel like, I want better for my next generation. I don't want them to go through what I went through. I want them to be able to have my sister's opportunities. How is that going to affect people?
It makes you also question, right? Because we see more people from our culture, right? And I don't have an issue, right? If you love who you love, be with who you want to be with, I do not care, right? But we're seeing more and more people from our culture pursuing the white tea population. And a lot of it makes me wonder, how much is it because it's an actual attraction, a preference, or is it because something that was so ingrained in you from small? You need to be with someone lighter. You need to be, for some reason, white tea people are always synonymous. They're always associated with having good credit. You want someone with the good credit. You want someone who can buy you the house. You want someone who's going to make you the 6 figures. Like, we don't have the possibility of doing that within our own culture, but it makes you wonder, how much is this? How much of it is attraction, and how much is it because it was ingrained in us that we have to like that? We have to want that because we want our children to not have the African features that a lot of us have, or to have the native features that a lot of us have, because a lot of us were taught that white is right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I will also want to add, before it becomes too irrelevant, that what Caramel said in the beginning, people feeling attacked when you were talking about internalized racism, and it wasn't even specifically about them. Some people, it just hits so close to home that it's like a pew pew in World War II knocking out your helmet. Because they felt so. It's like it hits so close to home that they felt attacked, and they don't want to admit it, and just adding that on top of everything that you said, that it's, right.
No, it's the truth. And the sad thing is, right, that we can have these conversations, right? And to not address this with themselves, they'll say, no, I'm just attracted to them. No, I just like them. Which, again, I'm not going to deny whether you are or not. But how much of it, when are we going to have that conversation within ourselves to be like, damn, this is what I was taught. This is why I like what I like, because subconsciously that seed was planted and I let it grow because I was afraid of having kids that were going to be darker or having kids that, and first of all, let's fucking stop using the fucking word pelo malo. I fucking hate that shit. Let's strip that shit from our fucking vocabulary. There's no fucking such thing as fucking bad hair. Please.
That's right.
Please. Welcome to my TED Talk, guys. My little rant.
Yes. And that's the thing, that everything that you say, I agree with it 1,000%. But also there's a point in which we have to apply nuance, because yes, we get that we have been exposed, that we have been raised with this. You know what I mean? But there's a point in which you say, okay, I was raised with this, it was normalized, but then there just comes a time where you have to draw a line in the sand and take accountability.
I agree.
Because you can only put an excuse that it's part of my culture for only so long before you have to take accountability for that internalized racism.
Exactly. I can give people grace, right? I can say, you know what? Anything prior to your prefrontal cortex being fully formed, I can be like, you know what? I can understand why you're still, holding on to those views. Once you are, let's say, an adultier adult, it's your fucking job to fucking unlearn that shit, to do fucking better. I cannot stress enough to people. You complain so much about things that are wrong within our community, within our culture, within other marginalized communities, which again, I don't feel anybody, if you're not part of that community, don't fucking speak ill on it. But you can complain about so many things, but you're not being the change you want to see. It starts with us. It starts with us. I can't be here at 41 and say, yes, and still be like, oh yeah, las nenas mías tienen el pelo malo. No, the fuck they don't. I cannot be here and tell my daughter, don't go in the sun because I don't want you to get dark. That was never part of, even though I heard it growing up, I've witnessed it, I've seen it as an adult of other people speaking to the children in their family. I knew I don't want my kids to grow up with that bullshit. You see, I post my kids everywhere because I sweat the fuck out of my kids. My daughters will never not tell you that they are not the most beautiful person in the fucking world because I instilled that in them. And that's what the fuck we need to do. We need to be the change. De chiquito, from the minute that we start having our kids and we start raising our kids and we're around our nieces and nephews, our cousins, the kids that you have, the relationships with the parents, we need to start celebrating and uplifting the things that they told us were ugly about us. That's the only way we're going to be able to make the change.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I want to mention another example of something I heard that my Puerto Rican family, the normalized, internalized racism of something that may not even be about physical appearance so much. And it's more about social power or who to socialize with, who to be careful with, right?
Oh, yes.
So
yes.
I was in my grandpa's house. My grandpa's telling me a story of his stepdaughter. He didn't have enough money to put both of the kids in private school. So he only had enough money to put one of them. It was my Titi Lisa's last year of Catholic school. So, and his son is like 8 years old. So who is he going to pick to put? It's the daughter. She's about to graduate. It's only 1 year left. He was like, he regrets putting her and keeping her in Catholic school because she's not a really good person. And he was like, I should have let her go to public school so the morenas could jump her. And it was just like, I remember distinctly remembering just like, oh, okay. Because I remember being in school and because at home, it was a lot of this talk of the morenas are going to jump you, they're going to fight you. And listen, I'm not saying that never happened to nobody. I'm really not saying that. It's just when I am the morena that is coming up to you and wanting to be your friend as a fellow Rican, you have such a disdain for me. I remember going into the park and this little Puerto Rican girl, she was like, why you look like that? Why are you so dark? Why are you so ugly? I remember she said that to me when I was little. And it's because of these dialogue that we're having at home. She didn't recognize me. Even though I recognized her as somebody that is a part of my culture, she didn't see the same thing. So it was just really heartbreaking sometimes. And it's because of the normalization of things like this at home.
I'm not gonna lie, I had more issues growing up with other Puerto Rican and Latina girls than I had with Black girls.
Me too. I had issue with everybody. I had Puerto Rican girls, Black girls. But it was really bad.
Yes.
Puerto Rican girls, no
But-
shade.
It's not like I didn't speak Spanish growing up. I always, found my way into a little Puerto Rican cliques in school and shit. But the majority of my friends were Black, right? Because that was my community. Like those were the people that got me, and I didn't have to change or anything like that. I always had beef with the Puerto Rican girls. It didn't matter if it was on my grandmother's block. It didn't matter if it was in the fucking projects where I grew up at. Like, the Puerto Rican girls always fucking had beef with me. The Black girls, oh no, I went to their houses. We were besties. We switched. We shared clothes, everything. But
Look,
make it make sense.
I'm gonna say two things. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. One, Caramel beat me to the punch with that, because I was gonna say that we need to be also very selective of who we allow our newer generations to come in contact with. And I hate to throw another person under the bus, but for example, I would never let Lumi interact with my nieces and nephews with all his things. I will gatekeep, and I'd be very selective. And when there are people that come by and contaminate the mind of my nieces and nephews and my children, I will set them aside and educate them and say, this is why you can't listen to this person that is full of multiple types of shit. Okay? And then the second thing that I was going to say, Panini, que es la que hay, bienvenida. Que te subí.
No, but real quick, even to that, Panini, your services, woo. One thing I'm going to say though too, whenever I have people in my family have those type of views, I'm sorry, you don't have access to my kids anymore. Access revoked. I am real quick to cut a motherfucker off when it comes to protecting my kids and the values and views that I am instilling in my daughters. You're not going to come and fuck that shit up. You're not going to come and make my kid feel some type of way. None of that shit. Que se vayan pa la mierda, honestamente.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if you guys can hear me better. Is that better?
Yes.
Much.
I'm getting into town. With mine, like, I try to have like advised exposure. You know what I mean? Like, if I meet someone who's ridiculous, okay, guess what? I'm gonna save that video, and me and my kids are gonna talk about it, and we're gonna discuss why I think it's ridiculous, why this ideology is problematic, and things like that. And I'll make them watch it with me, like, and I'll explain, this is my issue with this. This is what this can lead to. This is why we don't do this. This is why when you hear shit like this, you just, all right, and take that mental note and keep it moving. And now you know how they move, And with the colorism and racism bullshit, that shit, it was alive and well in my family growing up. Because, like, for them to say, don't be bringing nobody outside of your race home to date, that's fucked up. And then for them to also say, oh, no, get out of the sun. Like, man, girl, you got dark. Like, the way that they say that shit, they make it so normalized. And it's not okay. Like, the way that my mom be trying to, add that shit into my kids' lives. No, don't let her say that to you, because if she says that your hair is messed up, if she says that you look like a changa, if she says that you are too dark, oh girl, dang, you got dark. Like, don't be saying shit like that to my kids, and I'll correct you in front of the whole family. I don't care. You're not gonna say shit like that to my kids. I like her color. I love her hair. She's beautiful. Leave her alone. And I will correct any elder in the room. I don't care, because that shit is wrong.
That part.
But that's why they know I'm not gonna stand for that shit. You don't be saying shit like that to my kids.
Exactly. I'm happy that you guys are protecting your children. It really is so beautiful to hear this, and that there are people that
have to.
Yeah.
It's even embedded into like the way that they talk and the way that they are about our hair as well. You know what I mean? They are very anti-curly. And if you have curly hair, then guess what? It's problematic. And if you have curly hair, guess what? It's messy. It doesn't look right.
Grenua.
Yeah.
Let me see the names that my especially my oldest, right? Because my oldest has 4B hair, right? So it was Grenua, Grifa, El Kinky, you know, like, I'm not going to lie. I have a cousin who had and as Kaylin. And when she was little, I loved her hair so much because I used to call her Diana Ross, because it was like, she just had like these big, beautiful curls and everything. And when I had my daughter, my cousins were like, haha, now you have your own Diana Ross. And I'm like, I fucking love it. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. She's probably going to wear a ponytail for the rest of her life. But I love the curls. I love the hair texture. And I'm like, you know, you still hear it. My daughter dyes her hair, you know, oh no, like, what is it? She's trying to be blonde. No, my daughter's 20 years old. She's a fucking rebel like her mother. She's gonna do 8 gazillion colors and 25 million piercings and, you know, a million tattoos under the fucking sun. I know what the fuck I raised, right? But they still make the comments about the hair texture. They still make the comments because if she's out in the sun, she'll get paño. You know, which paño, if you guys know, it's the discoloration where you have like the lighter spots, but it's all just a result of the sun. So my kids, don't let them be out in the sun. Don't let them do this. Make sure you put on sunblock so they don't get the paño, and then you can't tell that they're really that dark. And I'm like, I want them to be dark. Shit, I wish one of my daughters would have came out with their dad's complexion, because his complexion is fucking beautiful.
We have competitions and I lose every time.
Facts.
I mean, guys, my son, he's over here. You do. We're way done. Like, man, it sucks. But I had my daughter. Well, this was like what, 2 years ago, I think. She started coming home saying that she wished that she had hair like these girls in her class, and she started naming these white girls. And she goes, "I wish I had the blue eyes, and you know, I don't look like that." And I'm like, girl, what the fuck? I was like, hell no, we're not doing this. No. I was like, you need to stop thinking of yourself like that. And because my mom, she always told us like, oh girl, you look like a lion. You need to go brush that hair. Y'all need to go brush that hair. Like, because our hair was so curly when we were kids, man. And my mom's hair is real kinky curls. And my grandpa's hair, like, my grandpa had like an afro, bro, like literally an afro.
My dad.
It's like, why can't we be, how did he raise a daughter that's so freaking disgusting, like in her no sabo-ness, right? I don't know sabo, but still, I'm not to that point to where I literally don't remember who the fuck we are. That's crazy. That's crazy. And I'm not going to let my kids be so unaware of the shit that is happening in these communities. Like, my family be part of the problem. So it's like, we have to be able to acknowledge that and like, you know, correct it in a way that's not going to push them away. I know I can be harsh with them, but they're just, I mean, they made me, so they can deal with it.
Listen, at the end of the day, when it comes to protecting my kids, I don't care. My children come first. You know, I am, you know, like, it's funny because like when I talk to my family members now, they're like, ay, después de vieja te pusiste tan malcriada. No, when I was younger, I didn't speak up for myself. I am going to speak up for my fucking daughters. You are not going to make my daughters feel any type of way. And if you do, you will be removed from their life. It's that simple. It's that simple. It has nothing with me being disrespectful now. It is, I am asserting boundaries and I am protecting my daughters from those fucking backward ass colonial views that you still fucking think apply in 2026. I'm sorry.
It goes like more, it goes deeper than just correcting them, right? Like we have to also prepare our kids for that kind of ignorance and that kind of criticism that they're going to face in the world, right? Like my daughter, if I say Isla's name wrong, you know, that's not my name. It's Isla. Or mom, I no. And like she'll correct me real quick. She don't mind. Like that I don't mind, because adults need to understand that we too need to be corrected sometimes. And
Exactly.
and so the kids, they know, like if somebody says something wrong, Eva's not gonna let you call her Eva. Like Eva literally stood up for herself when Romy was sitting there telling her that she looked like Tina. Like
Exactly.
because my ex cut her hair, and I personally don't enjoy the way that they cut her hair, because it's just but anyway, Romy compared her to Tina, and Eva looked at that picture. She goes, "That's why you look like Dora." Like it's like, oh my god, my daughter's a savage. She's
no, but you have to teach them that, because that's the only way. My generation should have been the last generation of people pleasers, right? Where we stay quiet and let people say whatever the fuck it is that they want to say to us. If they're disrespectful, I don't care. You are going to respect me. A mí no me importa que tú tengas 16 años y tienes fucking 95 años. Respect is a two-way street, right? And you're going to respect me, and you're going to respect my children with their views and who they are. You're not going to instill that shit in them. I'm sorry. Like my two of my daughters, well, all four of them, you know, embrace their ancestry, right? They embrace that they're Puerto Rican, Dominican, and Haitian. Two of my daughters, because they are darker presenting, they'll tell you straight up, they're like, I'm black. I'm not Black American, but I'm black, right? And that's just the way it is. And I'm like, I will not have anyone tell them, no, you are not, because it doesn't fall under the way we see things in America. At the end of the day, my daughter is an Afro-Latina. If they don't want people to use that as fucking terminology or whatever, it is what it is. But I'm not going to tell my daughters, okay, no, don't use that label, because now it makes other people uncomfortable. You're not here to make people comfortable. You're here to fucking take names and make a motherfucking difference, you know, and demand that respect and demand the changes that you want to see and the changes that you were raised in.
Exactly. They have to be able to stick up for what they believe in. And if we have done our job as parents, then they're going to feel the confidence to say that, like, look, I don't think that that's right. Even if it's their best friend, they don't care. Like, if it's somebody that they look up to or whatever, their biggest hero can come up to them, and they better sit there and stand on those beliefs, because that's the people I am raising. And that's what I expect from my kids. Even if it's your best friend, if they're doing something messed up, you better correct that shit right then and there, the second you see it. And if you let it go, other things can happen that are worse, and they know that. You know, even if I gotta expose them to every documentary about all this bad shit going on in the world, I will make them sit through that shit, 'cause it teaches them those lessons that, look, this is why I'm giving you the rules that I'm giving you, dude. This is why I'm telling you this. It's important.
And I would like to take this pause to welcome Sozi. Thank that here up in the live. Bienvenido again. Thank you for joining us.
What up, though, Sozi?
Hey, what's up, people? I was actually listening to you guys before hiding on the FYP, because I don't
Not
know.
you window watching, Sozi.
Yeah, but you know why? Aren't the comments distracting to you guys when you're doing your pod?
No.
Our ADHD makes us good at multitasking with the comments.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. 'Cause
I'm
Like
literally doing, like,
ADHD,
three different things right now.
ADHD is a superpower. Like, I am on the live, I am on the iPad with my other account, I'm tapping and I'm playing a game at the same time while actively engaging and listening to the live.
Oh wow. I feel like Ivy right now. I'm getting phone calls. I feel like It should be crashing out or something.
It's even the
guys
same
don't let me
ringtone and
talk.
everything. Yeah.
Right?
God damn.
It's the same when I hear from my.
They don't respect my time. Nah, but yeah, I was hearing you guys from before, and I was like, "Ooh, nice conversation." I was hearing what you guys were saying about that nuance. It's such an important conversation. The nuance of understanding that colorism and racism have such different shades of it here in America and in Latin countries. I feel I don't mean to sound kumbaya, but I feel like if people only understood the other side of it, there would be no arguments. Like you brought up the me no black thing that Godfrey made so famous. The comedian Godfrey made really famous. See, the me no black thing has so many layers to it. Where yes, there is an issue in the Latino community. The critique is heavily on the Dominican community. I'm not gonna pinpoint them though, because I feel like it's prominent in most of our communities that there's a colorism issue, and that that sometimes they will lean towards not wanting to identify as being black. I get that. But with the same token, I don't like that they solely attack Dominicans for having a nationalist identity like we all do. Like, no one tells me I'm wrong for considering myself Colombian first. They just accept it. A Mexican can be Mexican first, but the Dominicans are the only ones that aren't allowed to be Dominican first. Like,
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just, it doesn't make sense. Like, I understand that they should acknowledge that other identity, because we're all, some of us are hybrids. Some of us have 4 or 5 identities we're going with at the same time. Sometimes it gets getting a little, like with me, it's like, because of all these algorithms and different pockets of culture wars going on, I'm not too sure what to say anymore. I'm like, yeah, I'm from New York. I'm Latino. I'm indigenous. I'm also Colombian. it's like, holy shit, how many identities do I have? It's
Exactly.
like, but they're all important. And I understand they're not all equally important to other people. I respect that. I know there's going to be Colombians that maybe don't care about their indigenous side. There are indigenous people that have all this history and why you shouldn't identify as Colombian. Okay, fine. I respect your way of looking at it. That's fine. Afro Latinos, I get what they're saying. I just feel like we're all in this box where we want to criticize the other box. That's what I have a problem. It's like talking down to people.
That's how I feel as well. I'm like,
and this is what I find interesting about what you say, because this is how this is what I observed. It's okay for Dominicans to be nationalist and think about Dominicans first until they step into the United States of America. Some of them say me no black, and then I can use that as a proxy to do a blanket statement and generalize about Dominicans in the me no black.
Right. I even think, like, it's so funny. Like, I love simplifying a lot of these things. I think generalizations have us in trouble. We're not pinpointing it. I think when we talk about race, we'll talk about all these things, and everybody's using these anecdotal depictions of entire peoples by saying, oh, I met this guy and he was like this. Or I know people like that and they're this way. I went to that country and they were like this. And what's so dangerous about letting that go awry like that is that it's completely not only wrong, it's misinformed. No matter how much you think. Like, I'll give you an example, like, of one situation. I had an ex-girlfriend who was a paralegal, and she worked at 11 law firms, right? Throughout her career. The first one was an Italian law firm where they actually helped her elevate and learn more skills, learn a little bit more about litigation. The next 10 were all scammy lawyers and personal injury lawyers that were even scheming the clients and pocketing money with doctors. The last one she worked for were cool too. Guess what? The 10 in between, all were small hat. And it led her to be a little bit bigoted towards the small hat community because of her experience as a paralegal. And we were I have this one small hat friend, his name is Eddie. We were at a situation and she thought he was Latino because he's one of those like Israeli kind He kind of like, he's in the Latino community, and and he's got the goatee and everything. And then she brought it up, and it was like, oh my God, she's not doing this now. She doesn't know he's one of them. And she did. It's like, oh, those people, blah, 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 blah. And he just looked at her. And then I was like, I tried to make things nice. And I was like, listen, you got to understand, she's worked at those law firms. So she has a certain perspective of that community. And he was like, yeah, but you got to understand, like, he was saying that's personal injury law too, though. It's the bottom of the barrel of law. And the people that commit to that, I'm like, yeah, but there's the two that weren't like that. The Maturos, the first law firm she worked at, they helped her out. The last one was really nice. And then all the ones in between were that. So yes, sometimes generalizations, no matter how much you think, there could be an archetype of a culture. It's don't let it be a blanket of everything that they are. There's a lot of people from that culture. There's a lot of people in New York that don't agree with what's happening overseas. Now, mind you, there was a journalist, I believe it was a CNN journalist, that was shocked by the interviews she did on the streets of that country and realized that they're all very right-wing indoctrinated to think that that piece of land of other people, the P word, shouldn't exist. And they had no empathy for their children. Now, there's a lot to that, because the entire country is forced to do 2 years. Everybody there has to do 2 years military service. So that's going to indoctrinate you no matter what. Imagine if everybody here had to do 2 years military service, what kind of beliefs you would have if they have 2 years of your youthful brain to indoctrinate you with these military ideas. So this is where I'm getting to. I think the nuance is important. I think understanding that these things are prickly. There's little there's generalizations that shouldn't be made. Sometimes we see things over and over again where we start to appease a generalization, and even that's wrong. It's not scientific. There's always going to be people that are not the rule. And I'm sorry I went on a soapbox.
No, that's fine. I mean, that I think is that's one of the biggest issues I think that we have right now is the overgeneralization. Right? I can say I had an issue with an Ecuadorian. I can be like, oh no, all Ecuadorian women are XYZ. I know, because I have the discernment. I have the understanding that the experience that I had with that one person does not dictate an entire population, an entire community. But a lot of people can't see past their fucking nose to know that or understand that. It's like, I had this experience with 1, 5, 10 people. You know what? The whole community is just like those people. We need to stop that.
Yes, it's like a lack of the ability to comprehend a complex idea. It's like you see it in every aspect of life right now. It's crazy that people feel so confident with so little information, and understanding that the things that you yourself experience, right? You're one of how many fucking people on this planet, and you think that you know every single person in this demographic to say something on that demographic and generalize a whole group of people based off of your own experiences and your own knowledge. That is crazy. You can have a PhD, you can have 4 PhDs, I don't give a shit. You still don't know everything.
Now, this is the most dangerous aspect of that. And I know you guys have all witnessed this because I felt it. The most dangerous aspect of it is the weaponization of attacking based on that. And when you've been on the receiving end of that, it makes you want to come back at them with the same energy. Look, I remember once I was on this live. It was a BLK live. And it was like one of those FBA type situations. And they were really going in. I felt like it was like a triple K experience, because I went in, I didn't say anything yet. And they were playing like Mexican music and say, yo, Taco Bell guy over here, blah, 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 and just like having a good old time being bigoted. And I was like, well, I can go there too. But if I go there, am I putting my own morals at stake? You know what I mean? Like, would I be believing this? I was like, and I don't believe in that shit. So I was like, and it's really hard on TikTok because you're not looking at people. Like, I'll be all for putting people down with the same energy as far as their personal selves. I'm not going to go in on their race. I'm not going to go in on your skin color. That to me is the lowest common denominator, because you do it doesn't mean that I do it. But so many people I see on TikTok are resorting to that. Like Latinos get so angry when BLK, the worst of that community that are bigoted and come at us, they become the same thing.
Yes.
Like, you just
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
God, man.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you cannot do that. You fight fire with fire, and then your whole argument gets dismantled. If you tell somebody, don't do this, then you turn around and you go do that back, dude, that's that childlike mentality, bro. You don't go and do unto others whenever you're sitting there telling them not to do something. But also be smarter with your comebacks. You know what I mean? Like if you can't come up with anything better to say than, oh, get out of here, Beaner. Like, man, like, come up with something better, dog. Like, you don't know nothing else about me. Like, you can't say nothing else about me. Come on.
That part. But let me put a pause real quick because Biggs is here. Hey, Biggs, what up, though?
Buenos
Gracias.
días, mi gente.
Buenos
Buenos
días, mi
días,
gente.
mijo. Son las
What's up?
4:30. Buenas tardes.
Buenas
Oh,
tardes. I was,
shit.
thank you. 'Cause I was about to say, let's do a pause to welcome Big, one of our best mods, and the person that is so cool that we break our 2 guest panel rule so he can
Just
come
for
up.
him.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my bad. Oh,
No,
No, not
let
it's
me
not.
drop. Let me drink.
No,
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 don't do not drop.
Biggs.
We just told you that we broke a rule for you. Take it like a
Oh,
man and
you said
stay.
you
You
said that
know?
because Scuba came up, so now it's a 4-point rule. That's cool.
I was about to say the same shit, bro.
what happened?
Why y'all being messy?
You're
Yeah.
the second best, Scuba. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
What
They
happened?
Just
just
know
let they
I'm the
just let
first
you up here
best.
because bro got up here first, bro. He opened the door for you. Nah.
No, because I sent the invites once we decided to open up the panel for people to talk. So I'm like, let me send the invites, for us to discuss this. And, poquito a poquito, people are coming in. So I'm like, oh, I'm not even accepting. They're automatically coming in because of the previous invite.
Exactly.
Yeah, I beat the system.
And for the record, welcome everybody to the first podcast that's gonna be at least 2.5 hours.
Right? But it's a good
Yeah.
conversation, though. We can't front.
Yeah,
It's a good
exactly.
topic. And we're represented by, this different aspects of the Latino community. I would love to get Mariah in here. Mariah would love this kind of conversation. Let me see if I can bring her over. But what up, though, Biggs? What do you have to say? What up, though, Cuba?
I feel like Biggs would have a career in being a radio DJ at night.
Me too. I do. He has the personality and the voice for it.
He sounds like he's about to introduce Ready for the World.
I feel like he's like Puerto Rican Barry White.
Yes.
Or like the Puerto Rican Isaac Hayes, like, con la voz. Yeah.
That's what I knew. I was like, am I a bigot? Because I assumed he was black because of his voice.
That's that colorism we're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
The other day, Big sent me a picture, right? Because I'm like, it's not fair that everyone got to see you on the camera and I don't know what you look like. And he sent me a picture and I'm like, well, why did I think you were darker? And he's like, I'm not white tea. And I'm like, is the melanin in the room with us? Is it in the room with you?
I left it with my mom.
It isn't, actually. It isn't. Exactly.
Me no white, me Puerto Rican.
But I reserved myself and I did not speak much on it because I really want the Biggs and Soci podcast to happen.
Me too.
I really want it to happen so much, but I will say this: I will volunteer for
As
the
tribute?
intros and the advertising. No, not as tribute. God knows Polly Pocket would not like that. But I will volunteer as the voice for the intro and the ads in between and the interludes. Because I got that good voice, that good fake voice for commercials. Estamos en el aire. Presentamos en la noche de hoy
Oh,
a
wait, did you
Soce
guys,
y Biggs en el podcast matutino.
did you guys not hear his take of the Tootsie Roll pop commercial?
Oh, no.
He has it down to a T. And he brought it up when we were talking about the 8 gazillion ways we can say bicho.
Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Bro, that has been a commercial my entire life. You know me. That's like the longest running commercial ever.
Deadass.
Yes. I mean that has not only been a commercial, that has also been a private phrase between alone time between me and my girlfriend.
Now I don't want to know how many.
I didn't know we were going to start discussing lore on the live either. Wow.
It's technically not lore if I don't go beyond that.
Okay. I just wanted to know if you were gonna, you cracked the door open. I didn't know if you were gonna just like, let us bamboozle our way in.
Yeah, don't get Mimi started.
What do you mean? Don't get Mimi started? Damn.
Anytime it's some Bayako shit, Mimi just pops up out of nowhere.
Like some Pringles.
Yeah.
I can't stand y'all. At least we know it's always one of my favorite topics, right? So it's like, why not share the knowledge that I have gained in 41 years and all the books that I've read and videos that I've watched? I'm trying to help y'all out. Damn.
And in about 1 year of lore between me and you in conversations and what's
yeah. Exactly. So
it's like Link trying to break clay pots to find rupees in Legend of Zelda.
So Biggs and Cuba, what do you guys think about this? The internalized racism and the colorism.
I mean, you already know how I feel about it. In my community, the only colorism that exists is those Miami Cubans. They don't even count. The rest of us, ain't none of that.
Okay. Biggs?
Am I speaking solely for like my community from my anecdotal experience or what I've like seen?
A little bit of all three.
A little bit of all of the above, to the point that I will Google Translate you and call you grande.
Hey, yo.
Pause.
Shit. So with colorism, it doesn't get tricky there just because I think people don't realize when they're colorists because of their internalized racism, right? I think they both go hand in hand, and it just depends on how your family upbringing is, because that's where it starts. It starts with home, and at home is like the precursor to your life. But then once you start going to school and socializing, you kind of grasp to what your peer group is. So if you can have no racism at home, no colorism at home, and then one day you're in school, you're in ninth grade, and then all of a sudden your peer group's a bunch of, maybe you got a group of Latinos and they're like, or, oh yeah, we don't like the Black community. Like, we need to stick together. And they all sat at the lunch table together. And now, you become a racist towards the Black community because of your peer group. And then your family's like, what the fuck is going on with you? But sometimes you learn it at home. Yeah. I dealt with it from my own family. Just on my dad's side, they're more colorist, like to the point where they wanted white proximity. So they'll move, like my uncles live upstate New York and Staten Island, and they lived in the houses closer to the white people who had more wealth. So we weren't like invited to family gatherings and things like that. So I kind of see a lot of perspectives on it. I don't want to go on a tangent like Soze. I'll leave that to him. And I need to breathe. So
I got another tangent.
Before Soze goes on another tangent, I will say this: not only are you reflecting a little bit of what I said in the beginning of the podcast before you were in here, but also I have enough alcohol in my system to not know the difference between were you wise, or did you just describe Casa de mi Padre with Will Ferrell? Because I'm
I'm
seeing a
just
little bit of both.
wise.
Oh, by the way, nonsense. Will you be editing the intro to the Land House of Mofongo Diaries?
Maybe.
Okay.
He hasn't been approached yet.
Okay.
I'm working on the image first. Okay.
But Bids, since you put it like that, like I see that on my dad's side as well. Like they all went from the projects in New Jersey to all out there in like small towns in Pennsylvania and stuff. And my dad, he's a certified coconut. And my older brother is too. And my older brother, he tried to tell my sons while I was still incarcerated that they should embrace the fact that they look white tea because it'll get them ahead in this country.
Wow.
And he's even said something about like the way that I talk and the way that I look. Like, I can't help the way that I look. I can't help the way that I talk.
That's wild.
Yeah.
See, like what I wanted to piggyback, kind of referring to the same thing Kuba was just bringing up, what Big said about the correlation between internalized racism and colorism. I mean, one of the things I experienced, like this is an anecdotal experience I had in DR that I noticed is like, like with the black community, it actually very efficiently calls microaggressions, which I think is a really good way of pinpointing certain characteristics that we should be pinpointing, because these little things become big things in the way we perceive things. And
Exactly.
one of those things was in DR. I remember a girl was like putting her fingers in my hair. I'm like, oh, tiene pelo bueno. I'm like, what does that mean? Pelo bueno. I'm like, because I have straight hair? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, it's the same as what in New York when they say you have good hair when you don't have curly hair. I'm like, that's a microaggression right there. Why are we putting good and bad and referring to curly or straight hair? Like that was wild to me, because I was
That's
like,
literally a term. Pelo malo.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's literally an internalized racist, and they don't realize they're doing it. It's like what Big says. A lot of them don't realize they're doing it. She's not saying anything bigot in her mind. She's just referring to a hair type that has been normalized in her community.
Exactly. I was telling them earlier about the instance where someone in my family had permed my daughter's hair when she was only 2 years old and didn't tell me about it because my daughter had pelo malo.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, and I asked this person, like, what did you do to the baby's hair? No, it's just a treatment. Like, they were trying to give me that it was the opposite of, y'all remember the curl shampoo from the 90s that you just wash your hair and it makes your hair curly no matter how lossy you had it, which was a crock of shit. Yeah. But she gave me that it was the opposite of that, right? So after I wash it, my daughter's hair would go back to being straight. No, she permed my 2-year-old daughter's hair without permission and then keyed it off because la nena mía supuestamente tenía pelo malo.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know?
I will add this, and I know that Mimi is going to understand that this is purely from my personal experience, but Soze, I would be grateful that that her fingers only went through my hair and not up anywhere else. You know.
Now,
if you knew the type of hair texture that Nonsense has as well, you would also understand more of that.
What do y'all feel about the family nicknames like Negrito and Blanquito?
That's what I was saying earlier. My sister es la única morenita en la familia mía. Bueno, she was, right? Because then we all ended up having kids. But my sister's nickname growing up was Morena.
Yeah.
It was straight up Morena. And, you know, when they try to clarify it, they're like, no es que ella morena, ella es india, porque mira el color que tiene, mira el pelo lacio que tiene. Like, she has all the good parts. You know, she's just dark skinned.
Yeah.
You know?
That one's interesting because in Colombia, they use morena at this point like baby. It's lost its color reference. Because I see people calling me morena and it's like the whitest girl ever.
And it's negro también.
Pero that's what I'm saying. But for us, right? Because for us, that's considered something that's a term of endearment, right? Like when they tell you, you know, the skinny cousin, his name is Gordo, but he's skinny, right? Or I'm not gonna lie, I have a big ass head, so when I was little, they called me paleta, right? It's whatever, you know. But these are nicknames.
Back to the owl.
Mr. Owl.
Y mi tía en el otro lado de la familia, en la familia de mi mamá, you know what she's got bad, and that's the Arabic side. And she even said it about my daughter-in-law, about like she'll talk about like morenas who, oh, she's pretty, she doesn't have, no, she has like more European features, and doesn't even realize that that's racist as well.
Oh, when they say, "Oh my God, tú eres tan linda para una morenita." What the fuck? Like, they've said that to my daughter, like two of my daughters, because two of my daughters are darker.
Yeah.
Ay, pero ella es tan linda para una morenita. Like, what the fuck do you mean by that?
Like, she'll even specifically say, "Oh yeah, she doesn't have those
like
African
in spite
features." Yeah, she doesn't have those African features. Like, what the fuck?
You know, I feel like a part of it, the thing is, like, when you start to distinguish where these motivations come from, because I think it's important to kind of see where people get motivated to do this kind of stuff. One is just straight up nefarious, which is the hierarchy of people that are in power, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like people who have to migrate to a whole new society, and then they feel they have to assimilate, right? Assimilation is a huge pressure when you're hungry and when you have to struggle. And identifying with the majority as easy as you can is something they want for their kids because they don't want their kids to struggle. I get all that part of it. It's not easy. Like, it's easy to be like not about assimilating when the power structure doesn't depend on the assimilation. You know, like if you look at even the trajectory of Italians, like we see as Italians as white. The first ones that came were very brown. I've been to Italy, southern Italy, and they're very brown. But the Sicilians that came here and the ones that came here, they married into the Irish families. They had the same thing of blanqueando la cultura, what the hell is that? I hear a party going on. Okay. They had the same thing where they were blanqueando su gente to the point that they're so assimilated now that we see them as completely white. Now, I know in Northern Italy, there's white people. So anyone who wants to fight me on that, I get it. Yes, Northern Italy has white people. But the ones that came, the diaspora that was from Southern Italy that came here wasn't. And they were changing their names. That's why when I ever hear an Italian-American conservative say, oh, why don't they come here the right way like we did? First of all, you guys had a piece of paper. It didn't mean jack-ish. No one was checking your ish. You came on Ellis Island. They let you come through. And you guys came on ships. You're going to tell me you wouldn't cross the border illegally when you guys came on a ship and you crapped in the same buckets that were right next to you that most of you got sick, and that's how you got here for months, sitting next to your own crap? You would do anything to better your family, to go to another place. You definitely would have crossed the border, you know, if you went through all that on a boat.
They crossed the fucking ocean, right?
Yeah, dude. I mean, come on. Like your ancestors really went in on getting here. Like probably where ours might have been like, nah, we're good. A bucket with crap on a boat for 2 months. Nah, that's not flying. But they did it. And I get it. So this whole idea of like where this assimilation, where the motivation is coming from, that I understand. They even changed their names. I have friends of mine that have white sounding names and they're actually Italian. Like this guy, I know this guy, Nick Swing. And I was like, yo, how's your name Swing, bro? Like, that's a weird last name. Like, that doesn't sound Italian. He's like, oh, it's an Ellis Island thing. It was like some whole long name. They cut it down to Swing.
I mean, I don't even want to get to the point where they made Columbus relevant and a holiday to FDR just for the sake of their community being accepted in the United States of America. You know?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, like, see, like with the whole Columbus thing, like, just, I mean, can't just make it an Italian day? Do we really got to celebrate, homie? I mean, like, why we got to make it? He didn't even like his Italianness. He's kind of a sellout. If you really look at what he was trying to be Spaniard. Like, he looked up to being Spaniard. He wanted people to call him by the Spaniard name.
Yeah. I mean, and he tried so hard, and he tried to be like a scam artist so hard because the Portuguese rejected him. And it's up to the point that even the Spanish did not recognize him historically as a relevant figure.
Yep.
He's not a relevant figure even outside of the United States. You know,
Yep.
they had to push to make a holiday about him for him to become relevant.
I
which is
think there's a
crazy because
statue of him in Puerto Rico, though.
he never stepped foot on what is now the United States of America.
Exactly.
That's true, right? He was only in Española, right?
No, he went to the Bahamas. Cool. He went all throughout the Caribbean and even to Panama when it was called Darien. But
didn't he rule like Española for like 4 or 5 years or some shit like that?
yeah, that was his base camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's modern day DR, right? Modern day DR Haiti.
Yeah. And you know, the issue I have with Christopher Columbus is that it's the fact that I know we're deviating a little bit from the subject here, but it's also kind of related. But it's like, you know, I despise the fact that people up until this day describe him as an explorer. You know what I mean? He was not an explorer. He was the first conquistador. He set the tone on how the indigenous population was to be treated because he had so much debt back in Europe and the reality is that, and I'm not trying to paint the crown as a kind institution because they weren't, but the Spanish crown, unlike the British and the French, they were very strong about conversion into the religion. The Spanish were more about conversion than any other one of the groups that came to colonize the Americas. So they were very keen on, if we can convert these people into Christianity, we have a duty to do that before anything else. And Columbus, because he wanted the gold, because he saw, and if you look at at his journals, and if you look at the writings of Bartolomé de las Casas, he would describe the rivers of the Caribbean islands, including Cuba, including Hispaniola, including Borinquen, as rivers that the water it had a glow like gold because of so much precious metals that it had. It was like if the water was gold. He would mention the beaches of Cuba and Hispaniola to glitter of gold and silver because of so much precious metals that they had. He even excused it as, God sent me here to conquer and enslave these people in the name of God, basically. And I'm paraphrasing. I know I'm paraphrasing, but at the same time, you know, we need to keep in check, and I can't quote him exactly as to the word by words in his journal. But he basically went, ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for the crown to approve, you know, the conversion of these people. And I gotta say that these are savages that cannot be converted so that I can exploit the minerals, the gold, the silver, all of the things that are here so that I can pay my debts back in Europe, you know. So it really irks me when people try to describe him as an explorer when he was anything but.
So I won't call him an explorer anymore. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Biggs is like, my bad.
I did it, but you know, I felt guilty. Like I did. I'm like, damn, why did I say that? It was
He's
so
like,
sad.
He's like, I didn't know you were that passionate about it.
I'm
to
just
say
trying to say
you
that he was
hate
the first
someone
Joanne the
without saying
scammer.
it. That was the most polite way I've ever heard someone say, "Yeah, I hate you. I despise you."
He has a way with words, I'm telling you. Very colorful.
I'm actually very offended.
Why are you
Oh
offended,
wow,
Susie?
My
because
whole
he
damn
likes Columbus.
my whole damn country is named after that bastard. Goddamn.
What is it though?
Colombia,
I mean,
yeah, bro.
Felcratos, this is where we're gonna disagree, because you say he is an explorer, and I will unalive on that hill and say that he isn't. He is a reject that tried to pitch his idea about finding the Indies through a new route, because he was so much in debt, that he got rejected by Portugal because they had Henry the Navigator. He got rejected by every other country, and he got accepted by Spain because they were desperate. That's it. He's not an explorer. Period.
Yeah, but I got a question for y'all because this is like a real question. I'm not trying to be silly, but like all that travel and all that for trade and getting all these spices from the Indies, what the hell did they do with the spices? I've never tasted anything that was good with any spices.
Lo escondieron.
Right. Like, what did white people do with the
They just
spices,
brought
bro?
them. They brought them back for decoration.
I'm like,
Unless they showered with it. Well, not showered, but maybe they bathed in it. Like, oh, you smell like turmeric today.
I'm like, did they make like fancy decorations with it? I don't know. I really don't understand because like, all right, all right, maybe not because the Brits did this too, right? They were into going to the Indies also, right?
Mm-hmm.
The English,
Yeah, because they wanted it for trade, for spices, for gold, for silks.
yeah. So I'm like, why is there none of their cuisine have any freaking spices whatsoever? I'm so.
Are you telling me that beans on a potato with tuna fish does not have flavor?
I'm telling you, that's not even the realm of flavor. I'm not even sure if my taste buds can even read the flavor on that as much as styrofoam.
Like, how can you fuck up a potato?
Dead
Bro,
ass.
dead ass. It's a baked potato, pero le ponen queso, white beans, but like the sweet white beans, a big dollop of tuna fish with mayonnaise, and then shredded cheese on top. A jacket potato. And I'm like, whoa, what? None of those, like, the tuna does not belong there. The beans don't go there. Why did you mix them all up together?
Oh,
like,
man.
why?
Yeah, that sounds like a 5-year-old put that together.
When my 7-year-old was 5, she probably could have made something better than that, though.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, internalized racism is thinking all that shit is okay.
That part.
It's like a casserole, not okay. And look, to all in case some of my white followers come in here and think, oh my God, he's so different in his family, he's such a bigot. No, look, some white shit is great. I'm not one of those people. I'm not saying that all of you are unseasoned. I love Italian food.
I love me some shepherd's pie. I have that on my monthly roster to cook. You know?
Exactly. I'm just more talking about like the ones that, came to this country and love stew with carrots and water.
Or frog eye salad. No, that's a hard pass for me. Or
casserole. What the fuck is a casserole?
Or the casseroles that have like pineapple and sour cream and mayonnaise and cheese and pickles. And I'm like, if I have to see it, I'm gonna start sending it to you guys so y'all can be traumatized too. We can all be traumatized together, okay?
Green
so
bean
you've been
casserole
warned.
is delicious. So. a little light on the casserole.
I ain't gonna lie. I want to try mayonnaise and raisins on my potatoes.
Nah, I'm good on that.
Yeah, no. I saw I saw someone the other day with a video where they were dipping raw chicken breast,
And
chicken
the ice
cutlet
cream,
into
right?
the ice cream. So
Yeah.
talking
What
about
the
this is the
fuck?
new way to make chicken, and I'm like, what?
Oh hell no!
It's this white lady on TikTok, and she
It's
makes
Josh's
videos.
mama.
Yeah,
Oh no!
everything unseasoned.
Oh wow! Yeah,
But
I've
I don't
seen
think her
those.
family got here on shit bucket boats. Different
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
unseasoned.
When I see cooking shows that try to do like when I see like it's a white lady doing like cuisine that's very ethnic, for lack of a better word,
Oh,
and
like
you
Rachel
see,
Ray.
yeah, that's a good example. When you see them handle condiments, I'm like, oh, and a dash of this and a dash of that. I'm like, Mama, you did not use even a dash. Like you literally sprinkled three little inklings of pebbles that are microscopic on that thing.
Yes.
No one's gonna taste that. What are you doing? Those one really irk me because I always watch them to see how they do different stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's gonna have no flavor. And then they'll pull out the end product like that really got red glaze from what you did. Nah, stop.
The
Somebody
one
did.
the one that messes it up for me is Bobby Flay. Whenever when we beat Bobby Flay, whenever he's like against someone who is from a different culture and they're like, this is what I'm gonna make, like this is our signature dish, and then he wants to do this whole gentrification of the damn dish and he wins. And I'm like, he's not even honoring the original dish. He just whiteified it. And you guys are saying that this is better than the original? Like, the
Wow.
fuck?
Wow.
The fuck?
Wow. I ain't gonna lie, like our people, I mean, I'm not gonna judge you guys, but I feel like Colombian people, we tend to give names to dishes that are just poor people dishes.
Oh, so do we. Like arroz blanco con huevo, comida de pobre.
Right.
Or, like, I love comida de pobre. Like
Anything
that,
corned
I
beef.
love it. Corned beef? Bueno, no, because the corned beef is like $8 a can now.
Well,
That's
now
just a
it's
little
rich
bit
people
expensive.
food, but when I was
Yeah.
growing up, it was poor people food.
Over there, it's $8 a can, not here. Yeah.
Keep rubbing it in. Keep rubbing it in, sir.
Now wait, hold up.
I was silent for too long. I needed to say something.
Mimi, all right, this is gonna sound a little bit, maybe is this too much, like bigoted? Like is it a New Yorker thing to do hot dogs and rice?
Do you mean salchichas?
No, like
Like
no,
side-
I mean like Sabre hot dogs cut up.
Nah, who does that?
No, okay, no, I
I've
will
never
say
done
this.
that. My family's
Arroz
never
con
done that.
salchicha es puertorriqueño.
Sí.
Arroz blanco with hot dogs, that's a Filipino thing. Because my nephews and my girlfriend forced me to cook that every day in the morning because that's a traditional Filipino breakfast.
Okay.
I've never.
Do you mix?
Yeah, I've done.
Like you boil the hot dogs in the water, then you make the rice? How you?
No, actually, I have to boil the rice in a rice cooker, and then I have to take the hot dogs and take with a knife and do cuts on them diagonally, and then throw them in the frying pan with oil.
Okay,
So-
my grandma did do something like that for us growing up, but it was like the box mac and cheese, because I've always loved box mac and cheese, the Kraft one, with the hot dogs fried in oil, and then you eat them together. But that was like a snack that she made for us. I don't know, like, if that's specifically a Puerto Rican thing.
It might
Okay.
be because I had the same thing.
I was the bomb, though.
It might be
I
a
love
New
it.
Yorican thing. Maybe because
Maybe.
we're able to have access to Kraft mac and cheese. I don't know.
That part.
Okay,
that part.
okay, but this is what I witnessed. And if Michael Morales, if you're on TikTok right now and watching this, I'm sorry, bro. But I ate over Mike's house. I remember we were kids, and what they gave me, and I saw his mother make it. It was literally the hot dogs from the Sabre package from the supermarket, diced up, heated, and put it on the rice, and then we ate it with ketchup. Now I loved it. I ain't gonna lie, it kind of hit.
I love white rice with ketchup. And another thing that I grew up eating in my grandmother's house era arroz blanco con tuna y ketchup. Right? Like that was my
Yeah.
shit growing up.
Or salmon. Or salmon.
La
if we had
el
it.
salmón de lata. Oh, hell yeah.
Even sardines. Sardines.
Listen, my grandfather used to make something that I've asked other Puerto Ricans if they know about it, but a lot of them say that they don't. And it's called like malota. And it's like this cornmeal porridge with sardines and garbanzo beans. And that was like my grandfather's signature dish. And that was the shit. but
I can't do
nobody I
sardines.
know.
That's like
I don't.
fuche, where
I don't know
you
anybody else who
make
eats it.
you make the maíz, the harina de maíz con sofrito, and you eat it with bacalao.
Maybe that's what it's called. My grandfather used to call it malota. My family calls it malota. I don't know why.
It's probably regional
I was
to where
about to
they're
say
from.
that. Yep, I was about to say that.
But that was the best thing to eat in the winter time. Like he would make the big old olla that we use for like the rice for parties. And we'd be eating that shit for days because it was just like so fucking hearty. Like I love sardines to this day, and no one else in my family has ever been able to master that recipe.
Question.
Sofrollitos de maíz con canned tuna? I've never tried that.
I do sorullitos with cheese and that's it.
Nah.
I'm gonna have to see because it may
I love
hit. It
sorullitos.
may hit.
I got a question.
What's up?
Do Puerto Ricans eat as much ketchup as New Yorkers do? Because with the pasteles, I've eaten it with ketchup. Do Puerto Ricans from the island eat it like that?
That's a nonsense question because I eat my pasteles with ketchup and hot sauce.
Yeah,
Pique.
me too.
I will say
Well,
this.
yeah, pique.
I will say this. You are allowed to eat pasteles with ketchup as a child. Once you become an adult, it is frowned upon.
So what do you eat it with?
Good thing I never grew up.
Hot sauce.
Just hot sauce?
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Yeah.
Wait, New Yorkers hate hot sauce.
No.
No, pique
What?
and a mondongo sancocho.
What kind of New York? You see, you know Puerto
He knows
Ricans in New
Queens.
York who
He
are.
knows the Queens Ricans.
He knows the Puerto Ricans in New York who are from New York, and that's it. They don't have any like they grow up and it's hip hop first and not salsa
Right.
first.
They'll be like,
you know what I'm
hot
saying?
sauce. Oh.
They don't walk in the house and be like bendición abuela. You know, they don't know what it is to guayar los guineos, hacer los pasteles, hacer la capurria, hacer los limbes en la casa, a venderlo porque no tenemos chavo.
Facts.
I want to add something about the pasteles that is very important of why children are allowed to get a pass. Because you will not know how many children, Puerto Rican children on the island, are presented with a pastel for the first time. And their reaction is, mami, yo no me quiero comer esto parece un mojón. Échale ketchup y cómetelo, puñeta. Okay? And that's why children get a pass at putting ketchup.
Yo, we have a lot of food in the shape of mojones.
It's true. Mira la alcapurria.
La
Mind you, I
capurria,
like
los
mind you,
sudillos.
la capurria no me la como con ketchup. Me la puedo comer así lo más bien. Maybe a little bit of pique if I'm feeling, spicy. Pero los pasteles sí tienen que ser con ketchup. I'm sorry. Con ketchup y con pique.
There's a Puerto Rican. I'm probably getting too local with this one. Biggs might know it though. There's a spot on 3rd Avenue by the 116 train station that was right next to the train station. It was a Puerto Rican spot. They had the plátano with the carne on it in the window. All the food was in the window, like all the frituras.
The cochifritos.
Yeah. And I used to buy the banana with the meat in it. That shit was mad good.
Like the canoa?
Yes.
The canoa, yeah.
That was fire.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a hot take. I don't like traditional pastelón. I like pastelón the way my dad made it, where he would scramble an egg. It was no cheese, right? It was egg on the bottom, the amarillos, green beans, carne molida, and then you lift, whatever. And then on the top, you encase it in another battered egg. So it comes out like a little pie thing. And that's the only way I like pastelón. I don't feel like cheese goes on amarillos. I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
You see, in my house, we were a fan of piononos.
I like piononos too, just not no cheese.
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen a pionono with cheese, at least in my house, to be honest.
Mommy, when I know the last time I saw mommy make piononos, she had ella le puso queso en alguno. And I was like, yeah, that don't really do it for me.
Y'all make me hungry. I'm going to go eat now.
I'm literally cooking at the same time that I'm. That's why I keep going on mute because I'm cooking.
I actually just finished cooking my lumpia.
See, I'm telling you, ADHD just helps you multitask.
I'm gonna go find some pasteles to eat ketchup with nonsense.
Yes, ponle mucho ketchup y pique. And then you know what? Take a picture and post it. So you can trigger the Puerto Ricans in the comments that are telling us no.
Oh, that's a good one.
You should make a video and say pasteles with ketchup.
Mm.
You
You'll
know
get the
what?
most views ever.
You know what?
Facts.
My newest weird food that I get a side eye all the time from right now that I just made this morning, because it's 5:17 a.m. and I just served my plate un plato de white rice con habichuela and lumpia. Okay?
Okay, now I'm really hungry.
Damn, that lumpia. You heard that crunch with that lumpia, coño. All right, ya, you know what? Ya ahora sí, para terminar el live y el podcast. Porque tengo hambre.
I'm hungry. Right. Later, y'all.
Guys, have a good night. Hablamos. And thank y'all for coming up. I really appreciate y'all.
Thank you all for joining us in one magnificent episode of Mofongo Diaries that is almost 2 hours long. Good fight. Good night.
Good night. Bye, guys.